All right. Lee Teat, quarterfinals, baby.
Quarterfinal round.
Quarterfinals, man. This is, the goal at the beginning of the season for every team, I think, at least the good teams, is to reach at least the quarterfinals. It's the playoffs. You never know what's going to happen. Any given Friday, something could happen. But if you reach the quarterfinals, in my opinion, it's been a successful season,
Yes,
no
sir.
matter what.
Quality program.
Anything past that's a bonus. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, sir.
So, having said that, let's talk to a guy that quarterfinals is pretty common for these guys, and finals is I guess finals would be common for them most of the time. And of
Yes, sir.
course, we're talking about Maryville head coach Derek Hunt. Coach, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me.
We appreciate you coming on, man. Your team is really playing good right now, man. I think you're the last two opponents, you're 84-0 combined score. You shut out four of the last five opponents. This time of year, it's really it's really coming down. Like I was telling Lee, the good teams are all that's left. But you guys in particular, I think last year what probably bit you more than anything was injuries. You had a lot of injuries there, and I think that was a big factor in the Oakland game. How are you sitting this year from an injury standpoint?
We're probably about like everybody else. We've had a few guys get injured and have played a few games without some of our key players. But
Mm-hmm.
at this point in the season, guys, everybody's got their bruises and
Right,
bumps
right.
and are playing through some of that. And you're probably without a couple guys maybe that you started the year off with. So.
Mm-hmm.
We fit that mold, but we're like I said, we're no different than anybody else.
Well, Coach, you guys hit the road this Friday, despite the fact that you're sitting at 12-0, facing a
Yeah,
solid Dobbins Bennett team, which,
yeah.
began the season with 8 straight wins before dropping a couple of late games. I know they lost also to Alcoa. Looking at film this week, how do you feel like Dobbins Bennett looked?
Well, they're every bit of what you think of when you think Dobbins Bennett.
Right.
I just we've played them a couple times in the past, probably 10 years, 2 or 3 times in the playoffs, and then they were in our region when they had the Big 32. So we got to play them a couple times, and they're just they're just physical. They're a big physical team, and they they do such a great job. And they've changed over the years. I think that they do such a great job of evolving. As football, as the game, evolves. They're kind of one of the first teams that I saw maybe 5 or 6 years ago who were doing like the run pass option stuff, and but they never kind of left who they were, which is put an extra lineman in the game and be physical and
Right.
run the ball. And so they still do that really well, and they play a lot of man defense, which they've always done since I can remember. And they're just really good at it. That's the thing that I see. They're really good at what they do. They know who they are, and I think there's a reason why they were 8-0 at one point.
Well, Coach, it looks like you got about a 2-hour trip if the traffic's good. What time will you guys head out on Friday?
We plan on leaving. I'd say around 1:30 or so,
Right.
and head up the street. It'll
Reason we're
be
asking this is over here in Middle Tennessee a couple weekends ago, Summit got caught up in a traffic jam at the Gallatin game, and they had to sit in traffic for 2 hours. It delayed the game for 2 hours.
oh gosh.
So,
Yeah, well let's hope that doesn't happen Friday.
right, right.
Well, Coach, my kids, they went to Cascade. Of course, they graduated many years ago, but they had the same ritual. It seemed like every week. They would feed the team. Kenny Parker there at Cascade, they feed the team on Thursday nights, and then they did the same pregame ritual every week in and week out. Now, Maryville, they've experienced so much success over the last 2 decades. Do you guys still go through the same weekly and pregame ritual that you went through when you were a player under Coach Quarles, or has that changed any?
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty much all the same for the most part. I mean, heck, why change it if it's working? So and that's what I knew, of course.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
guys learn as they coach with others, and I learned a whole lot from Coach Quarles, that's for sure.
Hmm.
And I really like a lot of our pregame rituals and staying in the same routine, and your guys get comfortable with that. So
Mm.
as much as we can, we try to do that. Now, of course, when you're on the road for like a 2 hour or more trip, things have to be different. So you just do the best you can, and that's exciting. I really enjoy playing on the road. Like of course, I like being at home too,
Right.
but I don't, I don't cringe at having to travel. I mean, I really enjoy it. I like um, going on the road and playing, especially in the playoffs. Because I'll tell you what, guys, Maryville, our fans have always traveled so well, and so we've played a lot of road games where there's more Maryville fans there than the home team. So, and that's always exciting for our kids as well.
Mike Molder and Lee Teat talking to Maryville head coach Derek Hunt here on the Friday Main Event.
Coach, the last time we talked to you, I think we discussed, I think your team's got around 30 seniors on it. Obviously, senior leadership served you very well this year. Most time, man, we ask about who are the vocal leaders on the team, but do you have a kid who's maybe the quiet leader?
Yeah, I mean, I think T. Hodge would fit that mold. He's more of an introvert. He's not necessarily a rah guy, um, but he definitely is more of a lead by example guy. I think we've got some linemen on our team, offensive linemen, who probably fit that mold. And Fisher Colson, Mason Hobby, and then I would say Will Myers, our corner. He is a lead by example, not necessarily a rah guy. And I always said Dylan Hopkins, who played quarterback for us in 2017, who's now, starting at UAB. He was the exact same. So you don't have to be. I've always thought you don't have to be a loud guy to lead. I think sometimes it's better if you're not. But at the same time, that there are instances in practice where we need maybe a little juice.
Right.
And so we do have some of those guys as well.
I think we may have got a bad connection with you, kind of in and out a little bit, didn't you, Lee? Are you picking that up? Coach, Cade Chambers, a kid, we talked about with you last time we had you on. I think you said he'd already committed to Indiana State. He was in a semifinalist for the Mr. Football. I think he dropped out here in the finalists, but man, what a great job he's done. What would you say has been Cade's defining moment here in this 2019 season?
That's a great question. I don't know if I could just pick one moment. Maybe the week of the Alcoa game. Because we were without T that week.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought you was going to say.
Yep, and honestly, Alcoa is so good on defense. I mean, that's a super stout defense. I don't think anybody in their region scored on them the whole year.
Right.
And so, we're going through the game. I'll be honest with you, there wasn't a whole lot that was working for us, and so we kind of put the ball in Cade's hands a lot. I think he carried it over 20 times. Certainly for a quarterback, for us at Maryville, that's a whole lot.
Yes.
And so between him and Parker McGill, who also played running back with T, they kind of carried us. Our offensive line, they kind of carried us that game. So, but I thought Cade, he was playing injured most of the game, and just a gritty performance. He was cramping the whole second half, and literally it was one of those where when he was cramping, we handed off, and when he wasn't cramping, he was carrying it. So it was kind of one of those deals. But he's had such a great senior year, and I think what sets Cade apart from most kids is he wants to be coached so hard. He constantly wants to be told how he can improve, and that's rare for a 17, 18-year-old kid nowadays. And so I'm just so proud of him for that. He deserves every accolade that he might receive.
Yeah, my sons definitely wasn't that way. They already knew it all when they was 17. Well, you mentioned T. Hodge, Coach, and I actually took a little time this week and watched some huddle video on him. Man, that dude he's freaking muscled up this year. I was really, he looked like a man among boys running that ball out there. I think he's ready for the next level right now, don't you, Coach?
Yeah, well, physically, there's no question about it. And, he's been banged up a little bit each of the last 2 seasons. But he battling some turf toe both times. And but I think, we've got him back to healthy now and feel really good about how he's playing and how hard he's playing.
Maryville Rebel head coach Derek Hunt joining us here by phone.
Well, Coach Hunt, obviously you got Cade there. That was a Mr. Football semifinalist, and then of course T. Hodge, everybody knows about. But who's the one guy on your team that the rest of the state hadn't heard of who's been essential to what you've been doing this year?
Well, this one could go a bunch of different directions. We've got 11 guys on defense that
Sure.
probably deserve this, to be honest with
Mm-hmm.
you. Because our defense has played lights out. But somebody on the offensive side, I would say Brody Sloan. He's our tight end, H-back, and he doesn't necessarily score as many touchdowns as the T. Hodges and Ashton Maples and A.J. Davises of the world.
Right.
But he does everything. He does everything for us. From lining up at tight end to fullback, he'll line up at slot receiver. He does all of our motions and shifts, or a lot of them. But he's such an intelligent kid, and the thing that I'm most proud of about Brody is how selfless he is. He could care less, how many times he touches it. He just wants to win, and so I just think that's super, and that's impressive again for a teenage kid to be able to put himself aside or his own stats and just do whatever it takes to win, and so I think that we're a lot of our success has to do with having guys like that at Maryville who they're willing to put the team ahead of themselves.
Well, Coach, Kenny Cobble and Nick White, they've done an amazing job with that Rebel defense this year. I think that you guys have got 5 shutouts. Of course, you mentioned you held Alcoa to 3 points, which, that's just as good as a shutout. How do you feel that defense of yours this year stacks up against, a really good Oakland defense that you guys faced last year and for the most part are intact for this year as well?
Well, I mean, I think Oakland's on a different level than some of the defenses that they've had there are on a different level probably than most high schools. I mean, good grief. Last year's Oakland team was about as good a defense as probably I've ever seen, and the only one who might be as good as them was the 2016 Oakland defense. So I mean, those guys, it's just a great combination of skill, kids, physicality, and coaching. It's a perfect combination, and so they do such a great job. So how do we stack up? Who knows? That's almost impossible for me to
Right.
figure. I know this. I know that the kids at Maryville, they're going to play really hard and do what they're coached to do as best they can. And if that's good enough, then great. And if it's not, that's the way it is in high school, and we've learned that the hard way a couple times. But what I'm most impressed with about this defensive group that we've got on our team this year is how they seem to play for each other. And as coaches, you want to motivate your kids as best you can.
Mm-hmm.
But when you can get them to play for the guy next to them and play for each other, that's a motivation that's so much higher than anything that we can give them as coaches. So, our guys, they're running to the ball, playing for each other, and it's just been really impressive. I'll tell you what, it's been a whole lot of fun to watch on the sidelines.
Yes, sir.
Well, hey, Coach, I got a quick question for you. What's the weather forecast for up there this weekend? Is it rain?
It looked like it's going to be wet. Yep.
Yeah, we got rain here in Middle Tennessee too. The reason I'm asking this is, obviously guys are traveling this week, but get through Friday night, you get to return home for that semifinal round. I think the winner every year since Coach Creasy took the job at Oakland has been the home team every time y'all match up. Do you think that fact provides your team a mental edge?
Well, hey, I ain't talking about Oakland at all.
Well, we're not asking you
We're
to.
not asking you to
This
look
is a
ahead.
generality,
Yeah.
between those two
Okay.
those two
I thought you were
teams.
talking about over Oakland. I was going to say we got to. I wouldn't look good for me to talk about Oakland. And walk up to DB and get our butts.
No. The intent of the question was: do you think the fact that mentally in that particular rivalry, do you think that's an edge?
I really don't. I think I think it's two good teams, and the better team is usually going to win. It may not always win.
Right.
You know, but certainly last year we could have played that game 10 times, and I'm not sure we'd have beat them. You know, I mean, so they were just better than us. You know,
Right.
regardless of where the game was, and I know we beat them in week 2, but they were a
Right.
shell of themselves.
Okay.
You
Right.
know,
That's right.
as far as injuries go and
True.
stuff like that.
True.
So I honestly, I think they were the best team in the state last year, and you know, and we found that out
Yeah.
in the semifinal game, and you know, so I don't think it has as much to do with. I don't think it has as much of an advantage as probably most people do, or maybe some people do,
Mhm.
Right.
because I think at the end of the day, man, it's like Hoosiers, you know, they measure the goal.
Yeah, that's
It's still
true.
100 yards.
100 yards, no
and it's
matter where you
football.
at.
You're playing with the same football, and so you know once you get out there, I think it's just football, you know. And I think
Yeah.
the better team's going to win most of the time.
I
So
agree. I agree.
yeah, so
Well, Coach, I know you got a busy night, man, but I appreciate you moving things around and fitting us in. It's always great to catch up with you. Lee and I enjoy the conversation with you, and man, you do a great job over there at Maryville, and we really appreciate what you do.
well, guys, I thank you so much, and I appreciate what you guys do. It means a lot to our communities and our schools and our kids, you know, to get some recognition, and they certainly deserve it. And that's all high school kids across the country. So I appreciate you guys.
Well, good luck to you Friday, Coach, and hopefully we'll get a chance to catch up with you again before the season's up.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank
Thanks,
you,
Coach. All right, Lee Teat, are you buying that?
Yeah.
Do you do you think that home team doesn't have a big advantage?
Maybe in that matchup, I think he's right because if you go back and look at these matchups over the past when they've met, I
Yeah.
think the best teams won the majority of the time.
Well, I kind of agree with that, but two of the years, the home team won. I mean, they played each other twice. 2 or 3 years they played each other twice, and the home team won every one. So
Yeah,
I mean,
but I think the one where he's talking about, he's right about that.
yeah,
game
Oakland
early.
was. Yeah, Oakland was. He's right. They had some injuries, but I don't totally buy in that. I think home field is an advantage because you're having to drive 3 hours from Maryville to Oakland. So I think the fact that game's in Maryville this year will give them an edge.
Well, I
think
think the
so.
fan base side of things is an edge.
Yeah,
But I think on the field, once you get past that pregame,
that's true. Yeah, yeah.
you know, it's just that's just really such a great matchup. That is two really excellent
It
coaching
is.
staffs,
It is.
and you know, if we look at it sometimes and try to assess this, there are very few teams in the state of Tennessee that have the depth or the talent that Oakland has. I mean, they're just loaded with talent and depth. Now, I
Yeah,
will
no
say
doubt.
this: I think they probably got more depth, talent than any school.
You talking about Oakland?
Yes.
Yeah, he's got a big roster,
Yeah,
man.
I think
There's a
they're-
lot of kids on that sideline. Isn't
Well, there's a lot of kids on that sideline be starting for any other school in the state of
there? That's
Tennessee.
very true.
So to me, that's a testament to Coach Creasy getting the kids out, coaching them up. But also, man, I think Maryville gets more out of what they have than any team I've ever seen.
That's Derek Hunt. I forgot to put his picture up there.
I do.
I wanted everybody to know what he looked like.
I think Coach Hunt and those guys, they get more out of. I don't want to say, because in 6A, you can't say it's an average player.
Right.
I don't want to call them an average player, but I think they get more out of a good high school football player,
Mhm.
probably than anybody.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with that, man. That's what is
Like he
it?
talked about his H-back.
When's the last time they lost a region game?
Oh, my gosh,
2001
yeah,
or
man.
something like that.
You know, they just do a phenomenal job of coaching what they have and getting the most out of it.
And given the amount of success they've had versus the amount of kids they've put it at the next level, you would think, what do they have? Like 17 state championships. You would think that the college rankings would eat up with Maryville players. But I think that goes to what you're saying. He's got kids that may not necessarily be college level talent, and he's coaching them up to
Yeah, I mean, he's got kids, that are tons of kids that are probably Carson Newman.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I'm
maybe
saying.
some FCS level kids. I mean, I know he's had a couple. T. Hodge is one of the guys, the big time Division I performers.
Right.
But the majority of his kids are small college or
Right.
just good high school athletes.
Right.
And man, they just do such a phenomenal job. I think probably second to none in that aspect.
Lee Teat, do you need a break? Are you ready to talk some playoff football?
All right, we can roll with it.
Let's go with it, man. And let's start down there at the Class 1A, and we'll go the top half of the bracket, Lee. And despite the fact that says 1A Quad 2, Greenback and Oliver Springs is Quad 1. My secretary kind of had a typo there, but that is a Quad 1 matchup, Lee. And this is a rematch that Greenback won the first meeting 50-0, but I think Oliver Springs has got some players. Didn't Coach Ryan tell us
Yes, he did.
their top player? I guess he was talking about Blake Crass. Was out first. I'm not sure if it's who he's talking about. He said one of their major players was out the first game. I'm not sure which one he was, but he did tell us that. So this game should be closer this time, I would think.
I think so, man. I know, and this is basically going off what Coach Ryan said. And every time we've ever talked to Coach Ryan, he's about as honest a dude as you're going to meet.
Yeah.
And he said, people don't need to sleep on this Oliver Springs team. They're much better than what that score
Dictates.
dictated,
Mm-hmm.
I still think Greenback wins this ball game. I think with Holden Willis there, Braden Carnes, Darrell Bailey, lots of talent on that Greenback team.
And Holden Willis, Lee, finalist.
Finalist.
Found out this week.
That's correct. And, he lost his first two ball games to two teams that are still rolling right along.
Still in the hunt.
One lost Meggs and an undefeated Loudon squad.
Right.
Both to a classification above. One's 3A, one's a 1A, or 2A, excuse me. I like Greenback in the ball game, but I do think Oliver Springs gets on the board this time, and I think it might be a little bit closer. I think Greenback probably 21, maybe.
Yeah, I would say so. Every bit of that, but like you said, I mean, you got to guard against. Everybody since preseason, Lee has talked about that South Pittsburgh Greenback semifinal. So you got to guard against that look ahead that teenagers tend to do.
That's correct.
So that's the only issue here. I don't even think, if they did overlook, I'm talking about the kids, did overlook Oliver Springs, I don't think there's enough talent difference, that Oliver Springs could beat them even if they weren't ready. So I definitely like Greenback, but the margin of victory, I think, would determine on how focused Greenback is on Oliver Springs.
Correct.
Lee, the bottom half of the top of the bracket, Quad 2, South Pittsburgh hosts Gordonsville, and Scott Clemens' team, kind of a surprise, I think, for a lot of teams or a lot of high school fans. The 3 seed there in Region 4 entered the postseason at 3-7. They've won 2 in a row, and but do they have any chance whatsoever against this Pirate squad?
No, they don't. But shout out to Coach Clemens. Finally got healthy at the right time.
Right.
This matchup is nothing new to these two teams. There's no telling how many times Gordonsville and South Pittsburgh have met in the playoffs. I'd like to know the number. It's got to be in the 30s.
Yeah.
30, 35 times.
Yeah.
They're perennial. They meet up typically right here, quarterfinal, semifinal time. I think this year, though, South Pittsburgh's on a mission, and too much Ronto Tipton, brother.
And he's another finalist for that Mr. Football. That list come out, was it yesterday?
Yesterday, yes,
yesterday,
sir.
I think it was. And, of course, Tipton is one of one of the 3 finalists here in 1A, along with Holden Willis. So,
and you want to talk about home field?
I don't think there's a bigger home field advantage in Class 1A, maybe the whole state.
Home field.
I mean, you're climbing off a pirate ship that fires a cannon every time you score.
And if y'all haven't seen it, check it out. The video we posted from earlier in the year at the Meggs game where the ladies dancing in the end zone and there's fireworks going off.
Yeah.
So, South Pittsburgh Pirate fans are going to be fired up. This is like I said, they know this Gordy bunch. There's a long history there. They're going to be ready to rock and roll. Like I said, congratulations, Coach Clemens, but this week I don't see any way they match up with South Pittsburgh, man.
I don't either. I like the Pirates big in this one. I don't even know, to be honest with you, Lee, if Gordonsville even gets on the scoreboard. I mean, I don't mean that to be harsh. It's just
Well, it's
a
just the way
cold,
it
hard
is.
fact.
Yeah, it's the way it is.
This South Pittsburgh, as good as they are offensively with Braden Sanders and at quarterback, and then Tipton, as you mentioned, Hubbard. I mean, they're just eat up top to bottom with talent. DeAndre Kelly. I could say her name kids all day on that South Pittsburgh squad. So I agree with you. I don't think there's any chance Gordy gets by here. But that is the match everybody expected. Preseason.
Yeah.
South Pitt and Gordonsville, and I guess we could go ahead and kind of talk about that a little bit, Lee, because this is our last show until Cookeville. So if that match happens as we expect, are you prepared to go ahead and make a prediction here?
Is that Greenback?
It's at Greenback.
Greenback.
Wasn't expecting that, was you? By one.
Last play of the game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't be doing myself. I would be doing myself a disservice if I didn't say Greenback, because we had them preseason number one. And to my knowledge,
a lot of people are going to read into that Meigs County loss by Greenback and the Meigs County win by
South Pitt. Right.
But when we talked to Meigs' coach, remember what he said? This is just going to be a fun game for us on the road, a good environment. I know he's trying to win this ball game, no doubt. But I think it's two different.
Well, I may get him in trouble, Lee, but I'll tell you what I was told on the sidelines, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Coach Fitzgerald, but he thinks that South Pittsburgh will win that match if it happens.
Really?
Yeah.
Thinks
That's just his opinion.
Well,
he played both of them.
That's exactly right. He may be right.
Yeah.
Like I said, it wouldn't surprise me. I think South Pitt is as good as any team you're going to find in 1A.
Yeah.
There is no
And that's not a
doubt.
knock against Greenback, and that's not Coach Fitzgerald. I mean, the guy's just giving me an honest opinion. I asked him straight up, you've played both teams, and he feels like South Pittsburgh is probably at this moment in time
or at that moment
in time a smidge better. That's his opinion.
Right.
Everybody's got an opinion, and you gotta respect that opinion.
Well,
you're talking about a really good head coach.
So the matchup in that is Holden Willis and Ronto.
Well, I saw it on Coach T. Ronto, apparently he's safety, so I don't know if he would be one-on-one.
Well, no, I'm saying for player.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're both finalists.
Right.
Do you give the edge in the quarterback spot to Greenback or no?
I think you'd have to at this point in time. You got a senior that's got 4,000 yards versus a junior. And Sanders is a hell of a quarterback.
Excellent quarterback.
Yeah, we talked to his dad, apparently.
Excellent. This is a matchup, man.
Yeah, but I'm just saying at this moment in time, I think you would have to give the edge from an experience standpoint, if nothing else, to Carnes.
If this was at South
coming
Pittsburgh,
over playing against 6A competition, now he's down to 1A level, I think you'd have to give him a little edge.
If this was at South Pitt, I'd probably go South Pitt by one.
South Pitt by one. Yeah, it's going to be close. Man, it's going to be close.
I think whoever has the ball last, and it could be like, remember that Whitwell game. It went right into overtime. And
no doubt.
It's going to go to the wire.
And these are two really good coaches, so I don't know who you'd give an edge to. I guess you'd have to give an edge to Vic Grider, I think, just because of how long he's been doing it.
You will, well, yeah,
but
I think over the last 5 years,
Greg Ryan's right there with him.
Ryan,
right there with him. Yeah,
has been in the hunt. And like I said, that's our number one team going in. So
I don't know that there's a distinct coaching.
Buddy.
Yeah, I don't know that there's a distinct coaching advantage. I don't know that there's a distinct advantage talent wise.
There isn't.
So the only thing I got to go on out of that, Lee, is Greenback's at home, like you said.
I think by one, but it would not surprise me in the least.
It's going to be
South
a good
Pittsburgh to win that ball game. Not in the least.
Going to be a darn good game.
Yes,
I'd love to see that one. All right, Lee. Let's we went on that way too long. Let's go 1A bot. Man, we're gonna be here. We're gonna be here at 9 o'clock. We're going. Sorry, folks. We love to talk high school football. This game is tomorrow night, Lee, and I don't agree. I love Naked Bob. I should be saying Bob Robertson. We love you, buddy. There's a long story behind that, but Bob Robertson, Huntington's head coach, and of course Kermit Reed, two of our favorite dudes, man. We love them to death. But I don't agree with him moving that game, Lee, and I was kind of vocal about that on Facebook. If you're a huge underdog, and I think anybody in the state would agree,
Oh, yeah, they're definitely are.
Huntington's a huge underdog to Huntington. I wouldn't have let Eric Swenson off the hook. I'd made him play down there in the mud. That's me. Because, my thinking is any variable, when you're that huge an underdog, any variable is a good thing if you're the underdog,
Yes,
right?
Yes, I agree. Like I said, Mike, Huntington is on. They're so senior heavy. They're on a roll. They're playing lights out. I just think Huntington's got too much, man.
Yeah, I agree with you, Lee. And Huntington's another team.
Hunter Ensley's playing like.
Well,
he's.
I was going to say,
TDs?
yeah, he's a Mr. Football finalist. 13 passing TDs, 26 rushing TDs. He's got 4 interceptions on defense.
And then Coach Swenson told us earlier in the year he's as good on defense or better.
Or better. Yeah, I think he actually said that would be the side of the ball he's best on.
So it's going to be interesting to see Ensley. The matchup in this game to me is Ensley on defense versus Cameron Reed on the offensive side of the ball.
I agree. And Reed, he was a semifinalist for that Mr. Football Award, 1,635 yards,
right.
17 TDs. And Kobe Stewart is kind of the 1-2 punch.
That's correct.
To that Huntington offense. So I think they'll score on Huntington, but I don't think they'll score much.
Well, the thing is that both these teams are going to be very familiar with the other team's offense. Both run the wing T.
All right.
So I'll give the edge here to Huntington just off sheer talent.
Sheer talent. I agree with you. I'm going Huntington as well. Quad 4, Lee, looking at that, Lake County, and we had Josh Puckett on with us a couple weeks. He's very confident in his quarterback, Tanner Snyder. I think him and Larry Tubbs probably going to have a big game. West Carroll is playing well. Jeremiah Bryant, their quarterback, 229 yards last week. Lee, 3 TDs against Middle College. The War Eagles are playing some good football right now, but they're not in Lake County's league this year.
No, sir. Lake County Falcons, and, there's another semifinal matchup that is going to be phenomenal.
This one day is going to be fun.
Lake County, I feel like Lake County versus Huntington.
That's going to be. And look, man, I was telling somebody, it may have been Coach Swenson, I was telling this week, man, you got to win 2 state titles this year because these semifinals, both of them are state title worthy.
Oh, yeah.
From a talent standpoint.
Whoever loses at the top quad and whoever loses at the bottom quad, either one of them teams
could have been a state champ.
Could be a state champ.
Any other year.
Yep.
I totally agree.
So it's unbelievable 1A matchups right here.
It's amazing, man.
If it goes as planned.
Yeah, and I think it will. I would be totally shocked if the 4 favorites don't win here. So if it gets down to Lake County and Huntington, that's the question. Huntington would host. Which way you go here? Good gosh, we are running way over.
I don't know, man.
We're going to be here all
I'll
day.
just shoot it out there. I'll go Lake County.
I'll go Huntington because they're at home. And
we got Coach Swenson coming on.
We got Coach Swenson
I'll go
coming.
Huntington.
You don't want to catch his wrath, huh? But, I mean, they're due. They're due. They've been right there.
This is another pick 'em, man.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But it's at Huntington?
It's at Huntington.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going. I'm going home team in both of these semifinals.
1 point Huntington.
It's going to be that close.
I took my mulligan, finally.
Okay.
That's it right there.
That's it. All right. We got you. Huntington, and we both like Greenback and Huntington.
Yes, sir.
And Cookville. And Narrow. Narrow.
Yeah. Would surprise me if it was the other way around.
Let's go 2A, Lee, and we're going to have to step it up, bro. We're drag. 1A was interesting. In 2A, you've got Meigs County hosting Oneida. This is another rematch. Mr. Teat, thoughts on this one? Meigs. Tony Lambert got you last week, big guy. I think you had Hampton.
I did.
And
I was at 2 points. Got me.
Yep. I liked Oneida, but I knew it'd be close as you did. And you're right, it's a 2-point game. 24-3, Meigs in the first match. So this isn't a runaway I don't think this round either.
No, I think Oneida's gotten better.
I do too. I think they've gotten better. But Meg still with Mr. Football candidate Aaron Swafford.
Yes.
I like them to win the rematch.
Yes, sir.
Watertown, Trousdale. Yeah, that's a tough one right here, brother.
Lord
Gavin
Mikey.
Webster's squad played really well. 2 years in a row, they beat the Trousdale County Yellow Jackets during the regular season. Of course, Trousdale won the rematch last year in the third round and got the same matchup this year.
Boys. I think right now, Mike, with that win over Tyner, I think
28-7.
Cameron Rankins is playing lights out. I don't know, man. This one gave me trouble too. But
Yeah.
I tell you what, I'm gonna go Watertown at home.
Watertown at home. Their only losses, Nolan's won Upperman. Blake Satterfield told me they was gonna get Watertown this time, and I ain't never known one of them Satterfields to lie to anybody. So
16-13 the first
yeah,
matchup, right?
it was 13-0 in halftime, Lee, and they kind of had some turnover. Didn't play too well in the second half. So
I didn't use my mulligan.
You didn't use your mulligan.
Darn it.
So I'm
You going Jackets?
I'm going Yellow Jackets in this, and if
Gonna be a good one.
Yeah, it's gonna be a real good game, and it's gonna be a close game.
Well, let me ask you this: you think the weather factors into this one
If it does, it's probably
in the favor of Trousdale?
that would be my guess.
I would think so too, because I watched that Trousdale Megs game last year, and it was a nasty weather, and Trousdale handled it.
Yep.
So,
all right, we'll split that one. Let's move on down to the bottom of the bracket, Lee. And we're still
Hello,
here.
people.
We're still here. They might have thought it was only audios. We hadn't been on the screen, but hey, we're doing y'all a favor. Y'all have a look at us, so it's a good deal. Good for all of us. 2A, bottom half of the bracket, Lee Teat. You got Forest hosting Riverside in this game. Very intriguing to me, Lee. I bet you're dead set on Forest, aren't you?
I am right now because of the way Nick McClendon's playing.
Well, apparently Carson Hee, and I reckon that's the way you say it, like Michael Jackson. Hee. I was told that's the way you pronounce his name. He was a wide receiver. They played him in the slot first couple of games of the year. He gets hurt 1st of September, misses 2 months. He comes back. They put him in behind center. And apparently that's been the difference in this Riverside team.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what I'm hearing from everybody. And Johnny Frost's squad, of course, that's going to what that's done is that's given multiple running threats. And Rylan Kennedy, their big senior running back, 171 yards last week, 3 touchdowns against Waverly, and I think he had 2 touchdowns. So. If anything, that's made them more unpredictable, I think, in the run game.
Well, they're obviously playing well on the road.
Yes,
they
that's
can go
correct.
on the road and win.
Yep.
The loss to Lewis County, was that early in the year? Forest beat Lewis County.
I'm not sure about that, to be honest with you, Lee. I assume it was earlier, but I'm not sure about that.
I think Nick McClendon right now is playing lights out. At 265 yards last week on 5 TDs against Eagleville. We saw him against Lewis County. He played lights out against them.
He's a ball player,
He's
no doubt.
a baller, and it's at Forest and the whole Chapel Hill. 2 things matter over there, the Rockets and the tractor pull. And I think the whole community will be there. I like Forest, but I think this game's going to be close, Mike.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's going to be very close. I was considering pulling the trigger right here, Lee. I'm still considering it, but I think I need to make a heart pick here. I don't normally do that, but I'm 20 minutes from Forest High School over here. I got a lot of really good friends over there in Chapel Hill, so I'm going to make the sentimental pick here, and I'm going to take the Rockets to win. But man, Johnny Frost got a dangerous squad coming over here.
Turnovers.
Dangerous squad.
Whoever eliminates turnovers will win it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the team that takes care of the ball, and I think time of possession is going to be big because you got 2 run-oriented offenses.
It'll be a quick game.
Quick game, yeah. This game will be over.
Yeah.
8:45, I'd say. This game will be a final, no doubt. But I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go Forest, but I think it's a 3-point game. You agree with that?
Probably 3 to 4.
Peabody and Fairleigh, and folks over at Peabody's telling me this should be a championship caliber game. You got 2 Mr. Football finalists, Cooper Bogus at Peabody, and then Terry Wilkins at Fairleigh. Both of those guys found out today are finalists for that Mr. Football Award. A lot of offense, I think, we're going to see in this game. I think it's going to be high scoring.
I do too. I like Peabody.
You like Peabody? You think it's going to be a track meet? You think it's going to be high scoring, or what's your thoughts? Peabody hadn't give up a lot of points this year.
I'm gonna say, Mike, with the weather, I know they run the spread, but they run the football out of it and and I think Cooper Bogus is the difference in this ball game, because Noah Hallbrook, Eli Hammonds, all those kids, Jaquez Wilkins. Peabody's team speed, I think fairly this might be the first time that somebody can match up maybe with Peabody's speed.
Yeah, they're fast. You're right, they're fast.
I'm interested to see what kind of trouble that gets them, but I like Peabody at home by 14.
Fairleigh's only 2 losses were to MUS and Hernando, Mississippi, man. So they played a season.
Saying. This may be the only time Peabody's going to step on the field. And speed-wise, maybe not size or whatever, but speed for speed, which is what we love about Peabody.
Oh, yeah.
I think Fairleigh's got speed.
I do, too.
I like Peabody by 14.
Well, I'm a huge Shane Jacobs fan, and I'm sure you are as well. We love Coach Jacobs. Tough to out-coach that dude. I'm going to tell you that right now. Gene Robertson, now he's got that Rodney Salisbury pedigree. You know, he coached under Coach Salisbury there at Whitehaven. But I think they're just outmatched this year. You got a team returning off a state championship, and most of those players are back. You got to like them, don't you, Lee?
Yep.
All right, so we're both going to go Peabody, and we're both going to go Forest, and we like Peabody. Peabody in the semifinal matchup. I think Peabody. I like Peabody to win Class 2A again this year. To be honest with you, Lee. You agree with that?
Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you what, I hate to say this, but I think the winner of the Trousdale-Watertown game gets Meggs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I can say, well, they did last year.
Yeah.
So, I can see
it'll be at Meggs. But
I think Meggs. I don't know. I didn't even pick that game, did I? I'll tell you what, Lee, I'm going to go opposite with you on that, and I'm going to go Meggs because it's at home. And you got Aaron Swafford, a potentially 2-time Mr. Football winner. That kid he's gonna really want it, and Fitzgerald, he's gonna really want it. So, for that reason, I'll take Meggs in that semi, but that'll be a good one.
Yeah,
that'll be better than the bottom semi, I think.
I think so too.
All right, Lee. Well, let's go ahead.
So we got 6:45 or so.
Yeah, we got 6:45. We got Steve Trapp, DeKalb County. Going to be joining us. So I'll tell you what, we'll go ahead and take a break right now and get Coach Trapp on with us. This is the Friday main event. We appreciate you guys joining us again, talking playoff football. Man, I love this time of year.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do too, Lee. So, again, appreciate you guys taking the time this Wednesday night to catch Lee Teat, and I'm Mike Molder, and, of course, this is a Friday main event. So we'll get the next coach on, and we'll be back in just a minute. Hey, folks, I want to tell you about a new sponsor who joined us this season, Elaborate Images. Marcia and her husband, Sheldon, they've been in business since 2007. They've got thousands of customers across Middle Tennessee now. They are located right here in Unionville, close to where I live, actually. But Marcia does a phenomenal job everything we've got from them, hats, T-shirts, sweatshirts. They even designed the banner we use now. I mean, they do excellent work. It's top quality work. All the merchandise that they use is top notch. You're not going to get the cheap stuff you get at a lot of the online websites I used to use. So I'd strongly suggest you check out Elaborate Images, and again, go to elaborateimages.com. Ask for Marcia. They've got a phone number, contact there. Matter of fact, I'll give you that number now. 931-703-5410 is how you can get in touch with her if you don't want to go online. Again, 931-703-5410. That's Elaborate Images. They've got all the Friday main event apparel already set up, and you can tell her what you want from us. Or if you just want to go out on your own and get something designed for your business, I mean, they're great. We've been using them for a couple of years now. She decided to be a sponsor of the Friday main event this year, and
Welcome back to Comedy Hour.
Yeah, sorry about the long delay, man. Let me go ahead and tell you guys what this idiot did. Of course, this is Friday main event. Mike Molder and Lee Teat. We was trying to call our next guest, Steve Trapp, head coach at DeKalb County, and I hit the wrong button, and I called Eric Swenson, and I'm sitting here talking to him about the DeKalb County football, thinking I'm talking to Steve Trapp. But anyway, we got it straightened out. We've got Coach Trapp on the line with us. Coach, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing very well, guys. I really appreciate y'all having me on tonight.
We appreciate you taking the time, Coach. I think you guys got off to kind of a slow start, didn't you? I think it's 1-3, but you've won 7 of the last 8. To what do you credit the big turnaround you guys had this season?
I mean, yeah, we really didn't get off to a good start, but we also played some really good football teams at the beginning of the year. I mean, highly ranked in their classification and different classifications as well. But, I've had a lot of people ask me that question over the past couple of weeks, and really my answer to that is just consistency. I mean, as a coaching staff, we didn't lose our marbles, I guess, when we didn't start off the way that we would have liked. We really had a lot of confidence in this team, bringing about a lot of guys that played with some football for us last year.
Mm-hmm.
But we were young. We've been really young the last 2 years with freshmen and sophomores playing, and we got a bunch of juniors this year and, a couple quality seniors. And just staying, to the course, as far as our philosophy, and just kept coaching the guys, just kept asking them to hang in there and do what we ask them to do to the best of their ability. And I guess it may have sunk in a little bit because over the last 6-7 weeks we've been playing some pretty decent football.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Coach Trapp, this is Lee Teat. I'm sure you probably don't remember this, but I actually coached against you a little bit when I was in Smith County in the youth football program.
It's been a few years.
Yes, sir. I think you were kind of up in the 10, 11-year-old, 12-year-old class, and I had a couple of the smaller classes over there at Smith County. But Evan Jones and Ian Jones, both of those kids played for me over there, and I know they're both on your squad. But I tell you what, man, I've been impressed with what you've been able to do over there at DeKalb County over the years, and you got those folks over in Smithville excited again. Speak a little bit about that.
I got just a quick rundown. I played baseball in college at Motlow, and I come home one time in the fall, and my uncle was coaching junior pro and asked me to go to the game with him. I didn't know he was coaching. And he said he would give me a shirt and let me hold the water bottle so I could get in for free. Me being a college guy, I'm like, hey, free. And, and I always loved football in high school. I mean, more than anything, wasn't the biggest guy in the world or whatever, but I was like, yeah, I'll go. And, just at that event, so I say that at the banquet every year. My coaching career began as a water boy for the junior pro program. But, I started when I was 19 helping him, and I was assisted with him in junior pro for 3 years. And then I was a head coach for junior pro in 3 years. And in that time, I was like, man, I could go back to school for a couple of years and then come back and help the high school. I'm from DeKalb. I graduated here and, played football. And, man, it's been 15 years since I've been the head coach. And it don't seem like it. I'm only 41-year-old. And I was telling some people earlier this year that, if you count the time I played junior pro, I played middle school, I played high school, and I coached, I said there's only about 7 years of my life that I've not been tied to DeKalb County football. And, I'm a homer. I believe black and gold. And, we've had some rough times and had some struggles, but we've had some glorious moments as well. And, our main thing is, just do what we do to affect people. And we get the opportunity to use the football field as our platform. And, just try to help people have better weekends by watching us. And, small town football, when you're doing it right, it's electrifying, and it's just a fun time right now in DeKalb County.
Yes, sir. Well, Coach, your Tiger squad beat a solid Tullahoma team. And then, just be quite honest with you, I think you pulled an upset against Marshall County. A lot of people in the state had Marshall County, walking in that ball game. What would you say was the key to that win last Friday night? I was actually in attendance, so I kind of know how the game went. But, what would you say was the key to that win?
Well, I mean, both leagues have had their challenges. Coming into Marshall County, I didn't think we'd be able to run the ball quite as well. We've had been the last couple of weeks, and they're pretty good up front, which I like our offensive line as well. I mean, and we're young up there. I mean, I've got my right guard's a starting freshman, but he's 6'2", 6'3", 330 pounds, and
Wow.
My starting left guard is a sophomore, but he's 6 foot, 6'1", 360, but he moves like a fullback.
Wow.
And then my right tackle, he's a junior at 250, and my center's 200 pounds, and he's a junior. And then my left tackle, who, he's a commit to Tennessee Tech to go play center for those guys. So I really like what we've had up front, and we've leaned on those guys. I mean, really, for us to do what we've been doing, all year, really, if we're throwing it or if we're running it, starts up there. But they posed a challenge up front, and I knew that was going to be the deal. And so I knew we was going to have to make some plays in the passing game, and we got the guys that can do that at quarterback and at the skill positions, and just knew that defensively it was going to be a challenge as well. And really, I just hang our hat on our defense. I mean, we threw a pick the second play of the game, but our defense held them. They didn't score an offensive touchdown until the second half. They had the punt that they picked up, and that we fumbled, and then our defense held again and had them to a field goal. So our defense was playing really well, making some good stops, and just hanging in there. And that's one thing I told my team after the game is, 7 weeks ago, there's some things that happened in that game that, we probably wouldn't have the mental fortitude to hang in there and probably would end up getting beat by 20 or 30 points. And that was kind of what was happening at the beginning of the year. So just really proud of our guys. We talked about next play mentality, and they lived that up, last week.
Well, Coach, you guys go on the road again this week. I think you traveled to face a solid Knowlesville team. We've seen Ryder Gallardi and Tim Kutras. We've seen that combination. I think probably one of the best quarterback receiver combinations in 4A. How do you feel your secondary will match up against a pretty solid passing game for Knowlesville?
Well, I mean, that's the challenge. That's what they've done all year, and they find ways to they move Tim around a lot. Offense, I believe, is very similar as far as some of the things that we do, but they will move him around a lot, trying to get matchups and things like that, and that's the chess game. So wherever he's at, whoever he's matched up on and what we've got called, will we do our jobs? Will we execute? And really, that's what we've talked about the whole time. We've not talked about being in the playoffs. We've not talked about being at home for the first round. We've not talked about history or anything like that. All that stuff is for once the season is finally over. Again, we kept it pretty simple, which is just embrace the opportunity that you're still playing, and just make sure that you're giving it your all every time you get that chance. But, they do pose a challenge, and, I would like to think that we pose some challenges to them as well. So, we'll see how it goes Friday.
Mike Molder and Lee Teat joined by phone with DeKalb County head coach Steve Trapp here on the Friday Main Event. Coach, you've got a multi-year starter there at quarterback, and I hope I say his name right, Alex Aldino. Is that
It's
close?
Axel. Yeah, it's Axel Albino, but yeah.
Axel, I'm sorry. I seen
Yeah.
yeah. I knew that. Talk a minute about how much he's matured this season, and how does he compare to some quarterbacks you've had in the past, like Lucas Phillips?
We've had a handful of good ones here at DeKalb. If you go all the way back to 08 and 09 when we first started making some noise in the playoffs and stuff with Hunter Poteet, and then
That's right.
he was followed up with Lucas Phillips, and then we had Stephen Jennings. He was a day one starter as a freshman. Now he pitches for the Pirates, and
Yeah.
Got Axel coming in. Axel has a tremendous skill set. He throws it. With the best of them, he can definitely run the football as well. This is his second year as a starter. We'll have him back again next year as a senior. But from the beginning of the year to now, he helps us go. His decision-making process and what we're doing on offense, it really does start with him. And, he's played well these last few weeks. Had some bumps in the road last week, but, again, he really bought into the next play mentality and just worried about what he could control. Once whatever happened has happened, and that's either good or bad. So just really like the way that he's matured and coming around playing some good football at the right time.
I knew that was Axel. I was thinking about how cool that name was earlier. I don't know why I said Alex.
There you go, yeah.
Well, Coach, you kind of spoke a little bit about this earlier. We obviously think one of the biggest strengths for your team has been your line play. And you got a tech commit up there. Talk a little bit about Isaac Cross, Dylan Ditson, Evan Jones. I think Evan plays both sides of the ball for you. I saw the other night. Talk about those kids and some of the other key players up there along the front and how they developed. You got to be tickled to death of getting them all back, most of them.
Yeah, definitely. Everything really starts with Isaac Cross. All through his recruitment, just every coach that I've talked to. The one thing that I told him right off the bat was, and we got a lot of them coming in looking at him, but, I said I could talk to you for 2 hours about how good of a football player he is, but I could talk to you for 3 about how good of a human being he is, and that's kind of where it starts. I've not named a whole lot of juniors as captains since I've been there, but, he's been one of those. So he was a captain last year as a junior, and then again this year. Just another thing that I told all the coaches was that if I had 11 of that guy, I would never lose a football game. He's very athletic for his size. Last year as a junior, we did a little punt, pass, and kick, and he won every bit of it. He outthrew my quarterback. He's just that type of guy. Really gets after it. One of those guys, you put a helmet on him, it's a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde thing. Super nice guy, just high character. But he's a football player, and he embraces that, and that's how we coach him. But so it really all starts with him as far as leadership on our team, and then definitely up front. And then, you talk about Evan. Evan last year, as a sophomore, was my starting right tackle at about 180 pounds. He was still 6'4", but that's just kind of the situation we were in last year. Like I said, we were super young, we were very thin, and the year before he played tight end for me as a freshman, and I'm like, man, I need you up there. And then this year, I was like, hey, I'm putting you back at tight end. You've had a year of offensive line work, so you'll allow us to play with really 6 offensive linemen, and he's got good hands and stuff like that. And then he does play both sides of the ball. So he's been a very, not really a surprise, but he has had a very solid year for us. And then, like I said, those other linemen,
right.
Denson, he's a senior. He has started for us for 3 years, but he's not played offensive line. Last year he was a starter. This year we just left him on defense because he's got such a high motor. There's been games where he's just dominated up front and just, took care of the whole defense for us. But some of the other offensive line guys, like my sophomore left guard is Diego Coronado. Just super pleased to have him for another couple years. And like I said, he's a big kid at 360, but he bends and moves like he's a fullback. He'll probably be my left tackle next year.
Right.
I got a junior at center. And like I said, he started for us as a freshman. Didn't play as a sophomore, and that's Peyton Leaf. But, I know the Tullahoma coach was really complimentary of his play. He's 200 pounds, but he plays like he's 300, just gets after it. Then, like I said, I got a freshman at right guard, Brian Portillo, and first year ever played was last year as an 8th grader. Now he's starting as a freshman at high school and has started every game from the jump. And then my right tackle, who has played multiple spots, he's a junior. We'll have him back too, and that's Kevin Ponder. So we've leaned on those guys. And one thing that's different, I'm gonna knock on wood and hopefully I don't jinx myself, is last year we had the same starting 5 linemen only twice in back-to-back games. We had a different 5 almost every game last year with injuries and being errands and things of that nature. So it's been pleasing this year to have the same 5 up there, and they've really gelled together. It's led our offense.
Well, Coach, I think you're now in your 14th season there leading the Tigers. I look back, and I believe this is the first trip you guys have made to the quarterfinals with this program. Has DeKalb ever reached the quarterfinals before?
We have not. Like I said, I got the job in '05, so it's actually my 15th year.
Oh, okay, sorry.
And prior to that, this is our 57th year of football there. And prior to, that we had only been to the playoffs 3 times. And, since '05, we've been 11 out of the 15 years.
That's
we've
awesome,
been
man.
Every year since 2008, except for 2010. In 8 and 9, we won first round games and got beaten in the second round both those years. 2012, we went 10-2, and both losses were to Livingston.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then had some really good teams when Stephen Jennings was at the helm, and had some home playoff games but never got out of the first round. So,
that's right.
This is the first time we've ever been to the quarterfinals in the third round.
Well, brother, you're doing a great job up there, man, and Lee and I are really, really happy you took the time to talk to us tonight, talk a little bit of Tiger football, and wish you good luck Friday, man.
Well, we appreciate it, and, we'll always take a little extra luck, and like I said, I just appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to talk about DeKalb County and these guys that's, just making a little bit of magic right here in November, and like I said, we're just going to put our helmets on and play tough and hard-nosed football.
Our pleasure,
right.
Coach. Good
Thank
luck
you,
to you, buddy.
Appreciate you, man.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks. All right, Lee, DeKalb County head coach Steve Trapp. Man, he has done a phenomenal job with that. He mentioned it. What was the history of DeKalb County football prior to him coming in
Man,
there?
I'm gonna be quite honest with you, Mike. You could see it. Like I said, years. He talked about this. Been years and years and years ago.
Right.
But you could see it in those communities. We've talked about it in smaller communities. I know they're 4A, but I consider DeKalb kind of Smithville's kind of a smaller community.
Right.
But you could see the development of their youth program, and you could see them players. And Lucas Phillips, I watched that kid. Hunter Poteet, I saw that kid play.
Mm-hmm.
Jennings, you could see all these kids coming through that program and kind of see this is going to be better and good.
Yeah.
And I think Coach Trapp was in the right spot at the right time to see this, and then he's took it and run with it, and kudos to him, man.
Absolutely. All right, Mr. Teat, let's play a schedule here. I think we played it earlier. Try to get Ravenwood head coach Matt Daniels on. Mike Molder and Lee Teat, Friday main event. Hang with us. We'll be back in just a second. All right, Lee Teat, that was a quick break. We got out of that one pretty swift. I don't think I made any mistakes that time. I actually got the right guy on the phone this time.
That's right.
Coach Daniels, Matt Daniels, head coach of Ravenwood. The reason why we're saying that, Coach, is I called the wrong coach in the last segment. So we appreciate
you got the right one.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you, man. How's everything going your way?
Everything's great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's our pleasure, Coach. I think you're now 31-7 in your 3 years there at Ravenwood. Very impressive record, no doubt. How does this team compare to your previous 2 teams there at Ravenwood?
Well, what's good is we're playing, I think our best football at the right time of the year, and we've been able to do that the last couple of years. So similar in that regard, and as guys who have been a part of the previous couple seasons, I think this year at this point we're just a little bit hungrier. We've come up short the last couple of years, and we've got our eyes set on the ultimate goal this year, and we've got some guys that are playing some hungry football and some inspired football, and it's been really fun the last couple of weeks in the playoffs.
Well, like you said, since that first Brentwood game, you guys have played lights out. Your defense hasn't given up a point in the postseason yet, and your offense. What I like about that offense is you've done a really good job of maintaining, a good balance between run and pass. Are you guys 100% healthy heading into that rematch with Brentwood this Friday?
Well, man, if anybody could say they're 100% healthy on November 20th, I'd like to meet them. Um, but we've got the flu bug going around school and
Oh,
just some nagging injuries and things, but
hmm
nothing crazy. We're just going to continue to fight through as we have over the past couple of weeks, but relatively healthy. And we've got guys that come Friday night are going to do their best to fight through and play like we've been playing recently.
right.
Well, Coach, the first meeting against Brentwood, I think they had you in time of possession 2-1. I think also that may have been the lowest offensive output of the year for you. But, anyways, what did you learn from that first meeting that you think you're going to be able to take into this game against the Bruins on Friday?
I mean, when you enter a big game, you've got to be focused, and you've got to be focused the entire week of practice. And I told the boys after that game, I said that was on me. I did something that week, just had to have done something that week that didn't prepare us mentally to deal with, the atmosphere and a team that was going to be hungry to knock us off. And from that day, I've just seen a completely different look in our guys' eyes as far as focus and preparation is concerned. And
hmm
and really over the past 4 or 5 weeks, they've been able to step that focus up even more. So it's been really cool to see, a loss like that can derail your season because it is such a big emotional game. But our boys took it as a learning experience, and
Good.
at this point of the season, it could be one of the best things that have happened to us this year.
hmm
Well, Coach, amazing here, but Brian Garcia's got 7,200 yards passing for his career and 82 touchdowns.
Yep.
And I'm sitting here scratching my head as to why on earth nobody has offered this kid. I
You and
mean,
me both.
what is the deal with that, man?
I think they look at his size, and I'm tired of having that conversation with coaches that,
Yes.
especially this day and age when you've seen some very recent successful, quote unquote, undersized quarterbacks
Sure.
Look at Doug
do it
Flutie.
at
Look at Doug
yep,
Flutie,
exactly, exactly, yep. You've seen it at every level, and when you've got somebody that's a winner and a competitor, and somebody that in his third year as a starting quarterback is continuing to get better, and you see that hunger increasing his senior year. To me, that's a kid that's never going to be complacent. He's always going to push. Shoot, just put him on a roster because he's going to make your team better
That's
by
right.
pushing everybody in practice, by chasing that starting quarterback. I'm hoping that things work out for him, and that somebody, over the next 2 months realizes that they don't have a quarterback in this class, and they're going to give him a shot. So we're going to keep plugging away and looking for opportunities for him. But ultimately, he'd tell you he wants to win a state championship, and if he has a chance to play in college, then he's going to take full advantage of that. But he's focused on getting the gold ball.
Yeah. Is he in position? Is he in the position to where he could walk on?
He is, I think, and he's definitely applied to schools where that could be a good situation for him. Um,
Yeah, because
you
I'm
know,
I'm with you, man. I can't see any way, shape, form how this kid couldn't just walk onto a program and probably be sitting on top of a scholarship in the next year.
exactly, and I think that's a conversation that he and I have started over the last few months, and will continue as we push through the end of the season. But
Right.
I do believe that he will get an opportunity somehow, whether it's money at the beginning or not. And maybe it'll be better for him for there not to be money, because I think that'll just put another chip on his shoulder.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, you did have a couple of kids that received Mr. Football nominations. Receiver Andrew Mason, and of course kicker Luke Akers. Both, I think Akers is headed to UCLA. I think Mason's headed to Rice, if I'm correct. Talk about
Correct.
those kids and what they've meant to your program this season.
Well, first and foremost, obviously they've been able to produce on the field, but, both guys that are just incredible leaders. Andrew's a captain, a senior captain, and he was voted by his teammates, to be in that position. So clearly he's thought of in high regard by his teammates. Luke, the same way. You know, he was new to our program 2 years ago and has come in and has demonstrated a work ethic that, you know, sets a really good example for the rest of the team. So very high character guys, fun to be around, always smiling, having a good time. But then obviously what they've done on the field. I mean, Luke has been able to do some things from all different positions as a punter, as a place kicker, that have really helped us in ball games throughout the year. And you know, some things that kind of go under the radar, just flipping the field in terms of punts and a high percentage of touchbacks. You know, you start to get used to stuff like that. But in high school football, when you can execute on special teams and have confidence in a kicker, man, that is just one less thing to worry about.
Absolutely.
So that's been huge. And Andrew, obviously, just a really dynamic playmaker. He's got speed on the field that I haven't seen anyone that can translate a 4.39 40 into that same speed on the field. And Andrew does it, and it's impressive. You know, 16 receiving touchdowns. He broke our school record, which was held by Van Jefferson, who's
pretty good
probably going to be a draft pick. Yep.
Yep.
So, you know, his numbers speak for himself for themselves. You know, he's got over 1,000 receiving yards in 12 games, only on about 38 receptions.
Wow. Mike, Molder and Lee Teat talking Raptor football with Ravenwood head coach Matt Daniels here on the Friday Main Event.
Well, Coach, you know, all the talk in the preseason was whether or not the top recruit in the state, Reggie Grimes, is going to be eligible.
Right.
You know, eventually TSS ruled in Reggie's favor, and he's played in every game for you guys. Talk a little bit about Reggie and what he's meant to your team this year.
Yeah, I mean, just another, you know, I feel like a broken record when you bring up a player and I just talk about their character and them being a good leader. But I was just so pleasantly surprised when I met Reggie for the first time and welcomed him to Ravenwood and to our community. And man, talk about a kid that's all smiles and just loves to be a part of a team and have fun playing football. But man, he's come out of his shell both as a player and as a teammate. You know, you've seen him get comfortable with the team and with the school, and it's really cool as a coach to see a player grow like that. Again, you know, we kind of said the same thing about Brian, but seeing a successful player grow throughout their senior year is just really encouraging for their future, and to see that they crave to learn new things and they crave to have new experiences. So Reggie's been phenomenal. His dad has been calling a heck of a defense. Especially of late. So really fun to have them be a part of our program.
This is kind of off the topic a little bit, Coach, but you know, and the reason why I'm going in this direction, you're going up against Coach Crawford this Friday. I asked Scott Blade this question earlier this season. You know, you got a good mix of younger and older coaches. Coach, you got you and Matt Kreisky, the younger end of the age, you know, category here in this region. And then you got Coach Webb and Coach Crawford. Coach Blade said he was on y'all's side of it. I don't know about that, but you know, you got a good mix of older and younger coaches in this Region 6. What, in your opinion, is it harder to prepare against the Coach Crawfords or the, you know, the guys your age? Which ones are harder for you to scheme against?
I would say, you know, the Coach Crawfords and the Coach Webbs and the Coach Blades, just because of the experience factor. You know, there are things that, you know, that they might have seen before in a game or a particular game situation that they might have been through, that they're going to be able to maybe make a quicker call or make a certain judgment that's going to serve their team properly in that situation, simply because of the experience. You know, they've been around the block, they've seen it all. And they're guys that, you know what, they've got staffs that, you know, that they've put together, and the way they run their programs, it keeps them young. And so they have a nice balance of, you know, having that experience and having some of that old school mentality. But, you know, they're open to some of the new school ways too. So definitely a challenge, especially going up against a defensive mind like Coach Crawford. You know, the thing I think that some of the younger guys have going for them is that lack of experience, where we might throw caution to the wind and take some more risks that could end up benefiting our team the same way.
Well, Coach, man, Lee and I love talking to you, brother. We think you're doing a phenomenal job over at Ravenwood, and wish you luck Friday, man. I think we like Ravenwood to win this one. We hadn't predicted that game yet, but well, I don't know. Lee ain't predicted. I'm gonna pick you guys. Lee, I don't know which way. Lee's a big Crawford man, so he might go that way. But you're doing a good job of our coach, and we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
Well, thank you guys so much, and I enjoy speaking with you guys as
Yes,
well.
sir.
Anytime you want to have me on, I'd love to talk Raptor football.
All right,
Sounds
thank you,
good,
I
Coach.
appreciate you, man.
See you, buddy.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. I guess I kind of put you to the task there a little early.
Oh,
We
it's
had
all
talked
good.
6A.
Hey, he's one of them young guns.
I kind of got a feeling you going the other way anyway. I shouldn't even said that. I was putting words in your mouth, wasn't I?
No, we don't know. I don't know.
I
yet.
love Coach Crawford too. Now don't get me wrong. That's gonna be a good
this
game.
thing about we'll talk about it in a little while. We'll talk about it in a little while.
We
But
better
I
get our
tell you
next
what,
coach on. We done called Swenson once.
Yeah.
Hopefully he'll answer the phone this time.
Yeah.
He might not answer. He's been known to do that to us a few times.
Well, the one time he did, you called him. And
I know. I called him when I wasn't supposed to.
That's hilarious.
We'll go ahead and try to get him
All
on. Let's play this Coach T commercial. This is our main sponsor, Lee. So we want to give Jim Thompson a call or his kudos here, and we appreciate everything CoachT.com does for Friday main event. We'll be back right after this. Hey, folks, I want to talk to you a minute about our title sponsor, CoachT.com. We appreciate Jim Thompson and all the guys over at Coach T joining up with us. We'll be partnered with them for the second consecutive year. So Friday main event, we're honored to be associated with such a great website. If you're into high school sports, whether you play, you have a child that plays, or just an ordinary fan, CoachT.com is a place you need to check out. And it's not just football. I mean, football is probably the biggest reason people visit CoachT.com. But if you have a kid into any other sport, softball, baseball, basketball, golf, soccer, if it's a high school sport, most likely you're going to find some information on CoachT.com. But what I want to talk to you about in particular is the Coach T Plus membership, which I happen to be a part of. For the second year in a row, the Coach T Plus membership will be donation-based. So you decide what Coach T is worth to you. That's what's so great about the website. You can make as much commitment to the website as you feel comfortable with. Now, myself, I'm on the website, multiple times a day, as a matter of fact. So, I feel like I owe it to the website and I owe it to Coach T to make a nice donation, and hopefully you guys will feel that commitment as well. We do want to keep the website running. Many of us get a lot of enjoyment out of the website, but the Plus membership, you get access to certain boards that you don't have as just a regular member of Coach T. So that's one reason to join the Plus membership. Another reason is you're kind of the captain of your team. You're in charge of the scheduling, or I should say the correction. If there's any corrections need to be made to the schedules, any corrections need to be made to the scores that are reported, you have the ability to do that. And that's what the Coach T Plus membership, it kind of provides you a certain degree of ownership into the website. So please check it out, man. It's on the front page. You go to the home page, again, CoachT.com. There's a tab right there where you can click and become a Coach T Plus member. And just because you are now, don't assume you are forever. That is a one-year membership, so you need to double check, make sure your membership has not expired. Again, from the Friday main event, we appreciate CoachT.com and hope you guys appreciate them as much as we do.
Oh, me.
All right, Lee, we're back. We got Steve Trapp, DeKalb County I'm sorry, that's Eric Swenson this time, right?
Yeah. Hell, we got the right one on now.
Coach, how you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm doing good. I cannot complain.
It's rough getting old, man.
Yeah, believe me, I know.
Well, Coach, you guys, you make that long trip. I think it's 202 miles. I looked it up tomorrow night. I did do you a favor though, man. Bob Robertson and Kermit Reed, they told me if you want to go ahead and drive up tonight, they'll put you up tonight in their house. So I'm trying to help you out.
I appreciate you doing that for us. I asked Bob if he wanted to just move that up to Huntington, but he declined. But yeah, we got that long 3.5 hour trip tomorrow, which that's the craziest thing I've ever seen. But we're gonna head that way. We started to leave tonight, but we're gonna wait till tomorrow afternoon.
I was gonna say, what time you guys gonna leave out tomorrow?
We'll leave about 12:15 from school and go around and visit the primary school, and that's usually our tradition at Huntington since I've been for 30 years or longer. We'll hit the primary school and the middle school and let the boys go through the hallways, and then we'll be on the bus and heading out towards Huntington by 1 o'clock.
Are you gonna stop and practice, or do you walkthroughs anywhere else? Or you guys going straight
Yeah,
to Huntington?
we'll stop somewhere near Lincoln, somewhere in Lincoln County, and do a
Okay,
little walkthrough
I got you.
and give boys a little bite to eat, something light. Be at Huntington hopefully by 5.
There you go.
Right.
I may come over there. I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be a good crowd, man. I think they've got great facilities, and we're looking forward to it.
Hmm.
Well, Coach, you guys have averaged 52 points a game this year, but your defense has only given up 9. I mean, that's a 43-point margin of victory.
Yeah, our defense has been, we've played well on both sides of football. Coach Miller on the defensive side has done an excellent job. He does a good job every year. He's been with me since I came back to Huntington. He was assistant coach whenever I was offensive coordinator at Huntington before I left, and man, he's done a great job. And then my offense, I named Nathan Wallace. He played for me in 2003 state championship team, and I made him my offensive coordinator, and he's done a great job this year. And I mean, the boys, obviously, you got to have athletes, and we've got some guys that have been clicking. I mean, top to bottom. So
Hey,
we're
now,
playing
now,
real
wait
well.
a minute. Wait a minute. You saying you got an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator
Yeah,
at the
I got
at the 1A level? Now, what the heck do you do? Is what I want to know.
Well, right now, I'm just kind of sitting back and just blowing a whistle and telling them where to go. All right, here we go. We're going into defense. It's my 30th year. I thought, you know what? I'm going to reward myself with letting 2 smarter people than me do the job. And they've done a great job. So, yeah, right now we're doing pretty good.
Well, you guys, we mentioned you guys are traveling to Huntington tomorrow. Coach Robertson, a good buddy of mine as well. He's got a pretty darn good combo in the backfield, led by Cameron Reed. He was a Mr. Football semifinalist. How do you think he matches up as far as what you guys have seen, at the tailback spot this year?
Well, I mean, the kid makes great cuts. He runs hard. He's a good running back, man. I mean, that dude can go. And I've been impressed with him, and I've also been impressed with the fullback, number 4. And I can't recall his name, but I just know he's a heck of an athlete. He's a big kid, tall, rangy kid, runs the ball well.
Colby Stewart.
Yeah, and he's a player, And I mean, I love their offense. I mean, I'm a wing T guy, and I told him, I said, man, I really love sitting there watching film of y'all because y'all do it right. You do it old school style wing tee, and I mean, it's just fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Coach, the Mr. Football finalists came out yesterday, and one of our nominations was Huntington's quarterback, Hunter Ensley. Guess he was pretty excited to get the news.
Oh yeah, I mean, Hunter's a great kid, and yeah, he was real excited. And we told our boys, and they were excited for him. And I mean, it's a our senior group. We got 17 seniors. They're a real tight knit group of guys, and they were as excited for him as he was to get it. So that's always nice. And we appreciate y'all nominating him.
Yeah, no problem. Mike Molder and Lee Teat talking Mustang football with Huntington head coach Eric Swenson here on the Friday Main Event. Coach, I'm a stat guy, man. I love looking up stats, and you'd be shocked. But you know what stat on that Huntington Max Preps page that jumped off the page at me as much as anything? Take a guess.
What would that be?
At least you had 5 players with at least 9 sacks. He got a total of 73 sacks on the season. Robbie Miller must like to dial up that blitz a lot.
Well, I tell you what, he just does a good job of game planning for defenses and or for offenses. And the thing about it is, he puts our kids in the best situations, to be able to make plays. But the other thing is that our outside linebackers and our defensive line, we're not very big, but they are quick and they're strong, physically strong in the weight room. And they've been able to make, with blitzes and just some edge rushing and slanting and pinching and stuff like that. They've been able to make plays and, I mean, they just get after it, man. I mean, it's been just a really good year. Defensively, is one of the best years I've ever had as a head coach.
Mm.
Well, I'm gonna go off script. Well, staying along those lines, kind of going off my script here, but you know, anytime I see 73 total sacks on the year, you're bringing a lot of pressure. That's got to say a whole lot about what you got over the top on the back end.
Yeah, our secondary is our two corners were relatively new. I mean, they hadn't had a whole lot of experience. Our two safeties is Hunter and his cousin,
Right.
Blake Bradley. Both of those guys are tall, rangy guys, and they've gotten, we've not really been tested that much with the pass. I mean, it's mostly run. This year, it's kind of odd. Usually, a lot of times people are spread and they're trying to throw it around.
Yeah.
They've not, but they do a great job of running their coverages and, they've got speed and, and a lot of the teams we play are running the football, so they're able to get downhill and help out on the run.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, what about this Milan situation over there? You got anybody that you think might be the front runner for that job?
Man, I've heard all kind of names. I mean, it's, I don't know what the heck happened. And, it went south, I guess. And they, I don't know. I just got a text about one name, and I ain't saying even who it is, but I was like, wow. But you don't. They'll get a coach.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure.
Oh yeah.
That'll be a well sought after job. There'll be a lot of folks try to interview for that job, and it'll be, Milan doesn't. They want to win, and they'll do what it takes to win. And they'll get a good, solid head coach in there. And I thought Coach Pettigrew was great. So I mean, it's just going to be, it's going to take some time. But I've heard all kind of names, man.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard anything?
No, sir.
Well, no, not nothing. I've heard like you. I've heard a few names, but I hadn't heard anything for sure. So I don't want to throw any names out there either. So not knowing because you go and throw a guy's name out that's currently got a job, and then you put a little put a little heat on him. So I don't want to do that either. But
well,
yeah, I've heard a couple of names.
It's going to be it's going to be a lot of folks interviewing for that job. And,
yeah.
It's one of the top jobs in West Tennessee. So
yeah,
who wouldn't?
Well, I hate to talk about the big pink elephant sitting in the corner over here, but if you guys are able to get past that Huntington squad tomorrow, you've got that much anticipated match in all likelihood with a really good Lake County team. We had Coach Puckett on a couple of weeks ago. He's pretty confident in his team. I'm pretty certain at some point this season that you guys have at least took a little peek at that Lake County squad. Now, if that matchup does happen, how do these two teams match up in your opinion?
Well, I mean, if you, Lake County's huge. I mean, they got some big dudes. I mean, those guys are like ours. They've been beat by the same team we've been beat by the last 2 years, Cornerville.
Right.
We just happened to face them in the quarters, and they just happened to face them in the semis.
True.
And I think we're very, I think it's a matchup of two different style of teams. They're a spread team that spreads it to run, and they'll throw it a little bit. And we're a run team that we set up the run by running it. So they, it'll be a matchup, and they're huge. I mean, they are absolutely massive. I mean, their quarterback's like 6'4", 250. Their center's massive. I mean, they're just big, and we're not. So it'll be, if we were to make it there and them make it there, it'd be an interesting matchup. It'd be at Huntington. That's a good thing.
I want to go to that game. If that game does happen, I'm gonna try my darndest to get up there and watch that one.
Yeah, and Coach Puckett's got a lot of, he should be confident in his crew. He's got a great crew. And I think he's got two boys playing on that team.
He does. Yep.
I think they won in middle school and they won in Pop Warner, and they they ain't doing nothing but winning. But obviously we'd love to have a shot at them, and they'd love to have a shot at us. So I hope it works out.
Well, speaking of winning, Coach, you got a great group of seniors, man, on your team, and they've won a total right now of 44 ball games.
Yeah.
At some point, you're going to have to say goodbye to them kids. You know,
Right.
how hard's that going to be for you, man?
It's going to be hard. And I tell you, see, my daughter's a senior. I've known these boys. Y'all know how it is.
Right.
You got
Yes, sir.
kids,
Yep.
and I've gone to parties with these kids when them kids were just barely able to walk.
Mm-hmm.
I've known these boys, since they've all been in the same group. So, I feel like I have a different kind of bond with this group of seniors because of that. Just like every coach that has, that kind of situation. And,
Right.
that'll be tough, man. I mean, it's going to be real tough, and because they are such a special group, that they,
I
it'll
mean,
be
that's
tough.
just unbelievable. 44 wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. And the thing about it is, they're so tight knit, man. And they always have been.
Right.
Ever since they were in middle school, elementary school. I mean, they all hung around together. They all had pictures together. And it's just a really tight knit group of girls, guys, everybody. And, it's kind of sad in a way. It's real sad. I mean, we've never had this many seniors since I've been at Huntington.
Right.
And I'm just proud for all of them. Just real proud that. And I hope they take the next step. That's what I want for them. I don't want that for me as much as I want it for them.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to see my daughter sitting in the stands in a big game and, cheering on her friends. And that's a big deal to us. And, so I hope all that happens for them. And, they've been really focused this week. I mean, big time.
Yes, sir. Well, Coach, I don't know if we've told you this, man, but we really appreciate your friendship, and you do a heck of a job there at Huntington. We've had you on for 4 or 5 years now, and Lee and I always enjoy talking to you. And good luck to you tomorrow, man. We hope we're able to talk to you again soon.
Well, man, I appreciate y'all calling me, and I love talking to you guys. Y'all class act, and y'all make it fun this time of year. Getting to talk to you guys, you know that you're doing something right.
That's right.
Right.
There you go, brother.
You guys
Well,
for calling.
hopefully I can see you tomorrow, man, if I can get over there.
Well, come holler at me if you do.
We'll definitely do that. Good
Hey,
luck
I
to
won't
you,
be
brother.
doing anything 'cause I got an offensive and defensive coordinator.
There you go. Well, you have a safe trip over, man.
All right, man. Thank you.
See you, Coach. I
Oh,
shouldn't have said that, should I, Lee?
Oh, dude, that dude's cool, man. Yeah. Good,
Well, how many guys you know at the 1A level got 2 coordinators? Typically, they handle one side, don't they?
Well, he's probably earned it, man. Like you said, he's been at it 30 years, and
Yeah,
it's a great program.
I love
though.
giving him a hard time, though.
That's a good program, and hey, man, they're probably competing with most 2 and 3A schools.
Yeah.
So I don't surprise me really.
Well, I'm not looking over Huntington, Lee, because Bob Robertson's got one of the best teams he's had over there in a long time. But I mean, anybody will tell you he's got his hands full tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
And if that anticipated Huntington Lake County game does happen, and I think any high school football fan would predict that right now.
Yes, sir.
That's going to be a well of a game,
Buddy. Some
Cool
good
one.
matchups coming up.
But I may have to go over and see my old buddy Bob tomorrow. I think it's the only game that I'm aware of, Lee. Tomorrow night, the only one I know of that got moved because of the potential rain.
What we need to do is get a towel for Mr. Coach Bob. It says Friday night. So we don't have to drip dry.
That's where the naked Bob
Oh,
comes
my
from.
God.
We called
That's what
Coach.
we need to do. We need to get a towel with our logo and give it to
We
Coach
called
Robertson.
Coach Robertson back in the spring, Lee. You remember?
Oh, yeah, that was hilarious, man.
He didn't answer the phone at first, and then he finally answered it, and was like, "Coach, we was afraid you wasn't going to answer the phone." And he said, "I just got out of the shower." And I was like, "Well, Coach, you surely goodness you didn't dry it off and dress it. I'm just going to drip dry." So, of course, the whole interview, we got this mental image of Bob Robertson standing there naked talking to us. That just kind of blew that interview all
Oh,
up.
my gosh.
We love Bob.
Oh,
though.
yeah.
He's a great dude, man. He does a good job over there. We love Bob and we tolerate Kermit. So, Lee, let's take a man. We didn't even really have time to break. You good?
Let's roll, man.
Let's
I'm
roll.
ready.
We don't have time.
What we got,
We're so
3?
far behind. It's pitiful.
Ah, we're good.
All right, let's go 3A, top half of the bracket, Lee. And any surprises here? Do we need to do a lot of talking about the top half?
No. I mean, I like Alcoa, obviously, over Austin East. What else can you say?
I don't think.
Not much else to say.
No, there's not
42
much
to
else to
nothing.
say,
They ain't
yeah.
give up a point in region play all year.
Yeah, and that's what Coach Hunt told us.
Yeah, I mean, they're just stout defense. The interesting game to me is the next one.
Yeah, I agree. You got a rematch, bottom half of or quad two, I guess I should say. Loudon hosting Red Bank, and all these. I don't think I mentioned, but all these displays. The top team will be the home team, and Loudon won 24-7 in the first meeting, but I think Red Bank is probably playing a little better now. They knocked off Upperman. I think you and I both picked Upperman last week.
Sure did. I had Upperman in that ball game, but I'll tell you what, I like Loudon to continue on. I think it's Coach Herrick's year.
Well, he's got his son at quarterback, does he not? I think Keaton,
Yeah, sophomore.
sophomore quarterback, so he's getting some valuable experience. Even if they don't get the win here, man, that's gonna. Anytime you got a kid playing, starting for an undefeated team in a quarterfinal round, that you can't buy that kind of experience right there.
Can Loudon stop Wilkie?
Well, I guess that's
he's got some unbelievable numbers.
well those numbers that I've got there from last year, Lee. But I think he's probably doing just as well this year. Yeah, I mean they did the first time, so yeah I guess they can.
I'm gonna go Loudon.
You go Loudon. I'm gonna go Loudon at home as well, Lee. But I think it's gonna be a lot closer this time.
Yeah. What do you think? 3?
Yeah, 3, maybe 7, but it's going to be close. And it was at Loudon the first meeting, I believe, Lee. I think I'm right about that.
Right.
But I think it's going to be the same result, but I think it's going to be closer this time. All right, let's go on down quickly, Lee, to the bottom of the 3A bracket. And you got some interesting games here. Looking at that quad 3, Pearl Cone hosting East Nashville. I think that's going. I think it's another one. I think it's going to be a better game this time. Of course, it was 28-11 Pearl Cone in that first meeting. Oh, I'm talking East Nashville. They beat us. I'm sorry, I got myself all mixed up. They played Giles. They beat East Nashville last time. The 28-11 winner over Giles in the first meeting. I'm sorry, Lee. I got myself all mixed up in my notes here. But what do you think about Pearl, the Firebirds, in this meeting here?
I think they are on a mission.
Were you surprised about Giles knocking off Stratford last week?
I was. I had Stratford. I thought maybe a little bit too much tailback. Stratford's tailback would be a little bit too much. But, man, Giles is playing really well. How many is that, 4 straight?
Yeah, I think so, Lee. They're playing their
they,
best ball of the year right now.
I think they're in trouble this Friday night, though.
Yeah, Pearl's tough, and we've said it all year. I think Martino Owens, the junior quarterback, maybe the difference this year, I think maybe that's what's plagued Pearl Cone the last 3 or 4 years. They didn't have a lot of consistency behind center. Martino has really brought that consistency factor in, and they played a brutal schedule. I mean, they beat Cane Ridge, NBA, Indy. Of course, they beat East Nashville twice. They beat Stratford. I mean, they've played some really tough teams this year.
Yeah, I like Pearl.
And hopefully they don't fold. I mean, they got a kind of a tradition last 3 or 4 years of folding to Covington. They've lost to Covington. They lost to Stratford last year and they lost to Covington the year before. Probably had the better team in both of those instances, but I think they straightened that out this year. Covington is hosting Wooddale. Lee, we got 3rd seed Covington hosting the region champs Wooddale. J.R. Kirby had him on last week. He thinks his team's playing a lot better, and of course they did get that revenge win over South Gibson last week.
That's correct. I like Covington in a close ball game right here.
I do too. I like them. I don't think it's going to be as closely.
Really?
My understanding is I talked to some people over in West Tennessee. I think Milan should have won that game last week. They were in scoring range with 30 seconds left. They had really bad time management, clock management. Did not run the field goal unit on. Apparently had a chip shot field goal to tie it. Opted to go for it on 4th down. Didn't get it, and obviously lost the game. But I guess what I'm going at is I don't know that Wooddale is as good as their record indicates when compared to a really tough Region 7.
I got you.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So, they do have a 10-2 record, but I think Covington coming through that really, really tough Region 7 may be better positioned to win this game.
Yeah, I like Covington, but I think it might be a little. I might think it might be close, Mike.
It may be. I'm not because again, Coach Kirby told us Hayes is out. I think he's got a couple of really key players out right now with injuries. So you're right, Lee. It may be close, but the fact that they were able to knock off South Gibson, a darn good South Gibson team, last week tells me Covington the Chargers are playing pretty good football right now. All right, Mr. Teat, let's move on to 4A. As we attempt to get back on schedule, we're way the heck off, so we're going to have to kind of blaze a little bit here in the bottom half of the
How
show.
do you on this one?
Well, I don't know. I know my Greenville buddy over there is he's gonna have a cow if you don't pick them. He's not real happy with you so far.
Really?
Yep, he's not real happy with you.
Elizabethan.
I knew you was gonna do that. Bryce Rollins, big game again last week, Lee, 334 yards, 5 touchdowns. Parker Hughes, his main target, 198 yards, had 6 catches, 3 touchdowns. They're good, brother. I mean, they're darn good. And that Rollins.
Go.
No, you go ahead.
I tell you what, I see the same score.
Similar as the last
3 points.
Yeah, that was a close game. What was it? 24-21, I think it was. Elizabeth in the first meeting. Of course, Ty Youngblood's still in the Mr. Football running.
Yes, sir. He's phenomenal.
He's an incredibly gifted football player. Preseason All-State. I don't know. I don't know, Lee. This is a really tough game for me to pick. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna go the opposite way. I'm gonna go Green Devils, just because of the experience factor, having been there. I think that's got to factor in at some point. Bryce Rollins is still a young guy. I mean, he hasn't showed any indication of having, the jitters or anything. He's a two-way dual threat.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I think he's got to be the odds-on favorite for Mr. Football next year coming back.
Well, I think,
very
too, man,
talented.
that Coach Witten, this is the first time what we would consider he's kind of in the driver's seat here.
Yeah. And look what he did against Sullivan South in that rematch last week, 49-7, Lee.
So I'm gonna say he knows he's got something here. I think they're gonna be really focused.
He got a special team.
I'm gonna go Elizabethan, but I'm gonna say Betsy by 3 again.
Yeah, I think.
But it would surprise me. These are all toss-ups. These kind of games are toss-ups. Weather may play a factor.
It may. Yeah, I agree. Well, I'll go the opposite way, Lee, but I agree with you. I think it's going to be a close game. Quad 2, you've got Nolensville hosting DeKalb County. Of course, we had Steve Trapp on with us earlier. I like Paul Derrick's bunch, Lee. I had him in my top 5 preseason, and he's really made me look pretty smart as he's battled through to this quarterfinal round. I like Nolensville to win this one.
I do too. I think Gallardi and Koutras, that matchup is a tough matchup for anybody that gave Livingston fits with it.
Yeah.
Livingston was a quality squad. I think DeKalb shows up, fights real hard, but I think Nolensville pulls away in the 4th.
Yeah, they've been road warriors this season. They've played really well on the road.
I think Nolensville's at depth and probably pull away in the 4th quarter.
If you look at the bottom half of that 4A class, Lee, you've got some pretty good matches here. Springfield hosting Hardin County. Springfield 31-7 winner over Lexington. One thing we mentioned last week, Dustin Wilson seems to always have the Yellow Jackets playing really good when you hit the postseason.
I like Springfield, what they're doing right now defensively.
Yes.
Defensively, they're playing lights out. Now, they're not, I don't think, very explosive on offense. I think they're an opportunistic team.
Yep.
Take advantage of short fields, things like that, to put their points on the board. Just going to be an interesting matchup because Rivers Hunt's playing very well for Hardin County right now. Quarterback, he's playing good. But
their only loss was to McNary Central that missed the playoffs, but they did have a 14-point win over Creekwood last week.
They did. I think I had Creekwood in that ball game.
I did too, Lee.
I'm going to go Springfield at home, but in a low scoring, low 20s type deal.
Well, I'm gonna go opposite on this one. I'm gonna go Hardin County. Despite the fact that I said Springfield's playing really good, I don't think they're quite the caliber team they've been the last couple of years. Marshall County went to Springfield and beat them, which tells me that home field advantage may not be quite as good as it's been in the past. I'm going to take Hardin County. I think it's going to be, again, another close game. Haywood hosts Crockett County. Haywood won this game 45-30 in their first meeting. They shut out Ripley last week. Crockett put it on Millington, man. Hung 70 points on them.
70 points on them.
Kevin Ward's squad playing really good. Their only losses were to Haywood, South Gibson, Lake County, and Dyer County. So good ball team here at 8-4. What do you think about that one?
Haywood Tomcats.
I like them too.
Been on them all year.
Yep, I'm going to go with you on that, Lee. All right, so let's move on quickly. Lee Teat to 5A. Top half of 5A looks like this, and then you got two really good matchups here.
Gosh, dude.
Potential state champion coming out of these four teams. I think you'd have to favor them, despite the fact that we got some teams like Shelbyville over here on the west side playing well. I think most people would expect, the eventual state champion to come out of that east bracket. But you got South Doyle hosting Knox Central. 38-10 winner last time they played. That was only about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I think. Elijah Young, maybe the best football player in Class 5A for South Doyle. What's your thoughts on this one?
I like South Doyle at home.
I think Mason Brang is back at quarterback. I think I saw that on Coach T. What was it? Coach Duncan said. I think he said he tore his ACL. Is there any way he could be back? Or did I not hear that correctly?
I don't remember the exact injury, but man, what about 49-7 over Gibbs, Knox Central, man?
That's crazy, man. They're
Oliver.
Yeah, Favre's a heck of a quarterback, man. And
What do you think?
I don't know. I would really like to know if I think it was Eric Smith, our buddy over in Murfreesboro, that's posted that on either Coach T or our Facebook page one, that Brang was back at quarterback. Maybe somebody will type in the comments there and let us know for sure. But if he's back, I really like South Doyle. If not, I like South Doyle anyway. But I think it'll be a little closer.
Right.
So I'm gonna go with the Cherokees. Who you like?
Cherokees.
This one, Lee, is a tough one because this was a 1-point game. Powell hosting Knox West, and we had Matt Lowe on with us, 2 or 3 weeks ago, Lee. What scares me about this team is they've had a lot of close games. They only beat Greenville by 2. I think they were behind to Anderson County in the fourth quarter. West, they only beat by 1. And the South Doyle was a close game. They haven't really showed the ability to put teams away. And that scares me when you let teams hang around, especially when you got a team like West coming to town.
I kind of look at it the other way. In the playoffs, they get into a tight ball game.
They know they can pull
it out. So I'm gonna go Powell. We've been liking them all year. I like them. I'm gonna stay with them.
Well, I think I'm gonna go Powell as well, Lee. And I'm gonna tell you, man, this game's got me real nervous. If I'm
another 21-20.
Yeah, I think so. If I'm a Panther fan, I'm really nervous about this one. I don't like to say, man. I like to put teams away, and they haven't shown a knack to do that so far this year.
I'm gonna go Powell.
I'm gonna go with you, hesitantly, but I'm gonna go with you. Bottom half of this is a game I'm probably going to attend Friday, Lee. That's what I'm planning on. Shelbyville hosting Summit. This is the best Shelbyville team I recall ever. Man, they're really good, and what makes them so good is they've got something they hadn't had in the past, and that's good size up front. They've always had finesse, and they've had skill players, but they've always been lacking up front. Gary Smith and that bunch, man, they're solid, dude.
Well, I like the fact, too, that they went on the road last week at Beach and won it in the fourth quarter.
Yes, they did.
They didn't, they didn't bow down is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
they bowed up in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
They made play when they had to make a play.
They did.
That shows you that they're driven. I think maybe probably a team of destiny a little bit over there. Like you said, they ain't had a team like this. I think they know they got to do it, and I think the kids understand it. I like Shelbyville in this ball game, but I tell you what, man, it may go down to with the weather and what Summit likes to do.
Yeah.
With the Keaton, with the Wade brothers, they like to run that football, and those kids are phenomenally talented.
Yes, they are. I think they can play next level now.
Right now, both sophomores, they can play. They got the size and ability right now.
They do.
But I like Shelbyville in this ball game.
Well, I think, getting back to Shelbyville and that line, I saw Kenny Parker, former head coach at Cascade, today over there in Murfreesboro, and we were talking about this game, and he was talking about the effect. Everybody talks about Gary Smith, and Gary Smith is the juice that makes that system run, but kids like Austin McBee, he's had a phenomenal year. That line as a whole has looked really good for Shelbyville. And I think that's going to be the difference, just to be honest with you. I think if it is a sloppy game, I like them big hogs for Shelbyville up front, man.
Yeah, if I tell you what, if Shelbyville can take care of the football,
yeah,
Caleb Marsh, take care of it, don't fumble the football. Cunningham keeps stingy with the football, makes smart decisions, don't press. I like Shelbyville.
Yeah, Marsh had you mentioned he had 139 yards on 22 carries last week. Cunningham, in addition to passing for a couple touchdowns, he had 65 yards rushing. Well, he's got to take better care of the ball. Young man, take better care of the ball. I told you that last week. Had a couple of fumbles, but I like Shelbyville, and I think
close, though.
Close, really close game. It's going to be a good one, Lee. You need to come down there and watch that one. Henry County hosts Dyer County, Lee Teat, and Henry County coming off a big win over Clarksville. You've got Ryan Dameron, the freshman. Man, that kid's matured this year, hasn't he?
Unbelievable.
His dad, T.J. Dameron, friend of mine on Facebook, so he kind of keeps me posted on what's going on over there. Dyer County's no slouch, though. Pretty good ball team. What's your thoughts?
I like Henry County at home. It's hard to beat Henry County up there at their place, and so much tradition.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Henry County.
I agree. 48-14, Henry County in the first meeting between these two. I think they'll probably take care of business again. Well, Lee, we did it. We got back on schedule, brother. So that leaves Class 6A. We'll head right into that. Appreciate you guys tuning in tonight, man. We love talking high school football. I don't. Hopefully you do too if you're still with us, man. But it's going to be a good round of playoff action Friday, no doubt. Lee, Dobbins Bennett, and of course we had Coach Hunt on at the first of the show, and he feels this Dobbins Bennett is a team to take for real. They're pretty good.
Well, I mean, really, Mike, they wouldn't be there if they ain't. We talked
That's
about
true.
the quarterfinal teams. You're getting into the quality, teams that are know what they're doing, or they wouldn't be there.
Right.
Or they're on a roll.
Right.
But I think Maryville's got too much, buddy.
Yeah, T. Hodge is, I think, like Coach Hunt said, he's finally healthy. Which, he's kind of fought that turf toe all year, but I think he's back healthy now. And Cade Chambers has done a really good job of leading that Maryville offense. It's tough to beat Maryville in the postseason. They do have, a slight advantage of being at home. Typically, you don't get Maryville at home in the postseason.
That's true, but I too much Rebels.
Too much Rebels.
Too much T. Hodge, too much Maples, Cade Chambers. I mean, they got some talent.
Yes, they do. I'm going to agree with you, Lee. I like the Rebels to win this one. And then, of course, they'll be going back home for the semifinals next week. And their opponent will be the winner of this Oakland-Blackman matchup. Now, I think Oakland prohibitive favorite here in this one. What's your thoughts on it?
I like Oakland at home, probably about 14.
14. Was you surprised by that Mount Juliet score last week, 28-14? That kind of shocked me a little bit.
I think they just got off to a slow start, kind of come out a little bit sluggish, but in the fourth quarter they got rolling. But, Jordan Brown had a big game last week, but Tim Pinnell is the kind of the gear that drives all that.
Yeah.
The other tailback over there, he's really good. And I think this is just stylistically, this is a terrible matchup for Blackman.
Yeah.
Even though Connor Murphy, shout out to him, semifinalist or down to the finalist for Mr. Football for Blackman. Uh, he's a phenomenally good player too, but I think it's just a style problem. Man, Oakland just too much.
Blackman's losses were to Alcoa, Ravenwood, Indy, and Oakland. So yeah, they played a tough schedule, Lee, and represented pretty well. But I think it's the end of the road for Coach Hartsfield's bunch tonight. That Oakland defense is just too stout.
Yep.
All right, Mr. Teat.
This is the one you got me put on the spot.
Yeah, I did. We had Ravenwood head coach Matt Daniels on a little earlier, and I've already told you guys what I'm picking. I'm going with Ravenwood because, Lee, I think we had them at number 2 in our preseason top 10. So if I can get that 1-2 matchup up in Cookville, I'm going to look pretty darn smart this year. So I'm going to stay with Ravenwood. Man, they are good. Brian Garcia's had another great year there at quarterback, leading this offense, and the defense, 2 straight shutouts. Man, they're playing really good football right now.
I'm gonna go Brentwood at home.
I knew you would. I had a feeling you would, and I can't blame you, man. This should be a really good
Which
ball
is home
game.
field advantage in this game is nothing because those schools are
Pretty close.
2 miles apart, 3
Yeah.
miles. So I wouldn't really play a lot into that. There's gonna be fans all around. You won't be able to get over there.
No.
I mean,
And this is a UPN 30 game,
it's
I
gonna
think,
be
Lee.
crazy. That's 2 of the best fan bases as far as like student sections. They get crazy. I like Brentwood in a tight ball game. I think it comes down to a field goal.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a pretty close ball game as well. High scoring, low scoring. The weather may factor into that, you think?
I think so. I'm looking at 24-21.
Well, that's another reason why I like Ravenwood. I saw them in a really tough rain against Cane Ridge, and it didn't seem. I'll tell you what, though, they did have a lot of trouble with that shotgun snap, Lee. They fumbled like 4 of the first 5 possessions in that shotgun snap. So Garcia's going to have to find him a darn pair of gloves that handle the weather well, or it's going to be a long night for them, because I don't think Brentwood.
It's going to be a slugfest.
Yeah, if you have 4 or 5 turnovers against Brentwood, buddy, you're done. I'll go ahead and tell you that
yeah.
right now. So that's a concern. They did do better with that in the second half. But, man, why are none of these teams can get under center anymore? You see those conditions, and you're having so much trouble with that shotgun snap. Do they not even practice that formation? What's the deal?
Well, the spread, they like to have that for the tailback.
Yeah.
That extra space. But also, Mike, I love the spread offense. I like the spread.
Yeah.
But
shouldn't you have don't you need the ability to get under center when conditions dictate you do that?
Yeah, there's a couple of things though in the spread that it still bothers me, even though I love that offense. I kind of like it. When you get inside the 5 and you go to the shotgun.
Oh Lord.
I don't understand that sometimes.
At the 1 yard line.
At the 1.
Yeah, and you're snapping it back to the 5.
I don't get that sometimes, or when you're pinned deep. But there is some things. There's a reason why they have to be in the shotgun to run it.
Yeah.
For as far as like zone blocking schemes and reading certain things that they've got to have, the tailback's got to be able to see. All that kind of stuff plays into it. But I'm with you. I think at some point throughout especially in the early season. Get under center if you got a game where it's out of control.
Yeah, work on
it.
Yep, I agree. All right, well, hopefully that's not a factor. I'd hate to see weather be a factor in these games, but it may. Last game, Lee, and we're down in Quad 4, and that's Houston and Whitehaven, brother. And if Lincoln Parr isn't Mr. Football this year, I would be surprised. 287 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns against White Station last week. Man, I mean, you know he's coming. You know they're going to him. They can't stop the kid. That's just amazing to me. But I think Whitehaven might have the answer, man. That Rodney Salisbury defense, 6 shutouts in 9 games. As much as I like Lincoln Parr, I think that run comes to an end Friday.
I like Whitehaven.
You like Whitehaven? You was thinking about it, wasn't you? You studying it awful hard, Lee Teat.
I like Whitehaven, but I tell you what, like you said, if you haven't seen Lincoln Parr, and most people maybe in Middle Tennessee or even in East Tennessee, they haven't heard about this kid or seen him.
Pull up some huddle video.
Man, I'm telling you, that kid is he may be the best tailback in the state.
Yeah, he's good.
Numbers wise and for his size and ability.
Yep.
It's a highlight reel, human highlight reel to watch the kid.
Yep.
And he really plays hard. But man, when you're going up against Eason, French, and McDonald at the linebacking core,
That's tough.
it's a little too much, man.
Yeah, I agree with you,
Like
Lee.
Whitehaven.
I think it's going to be a real low-scoring game. I think maybe 10-7,
14-10.
14-10, somewhere in that ballpark. I don't see either team getting over 20. You?
No.
Yeah. All right. Well, Lee Teat, that's going to wrap up quarterfinal action here for the Friday main event, man. It's been a
Next time they see us, we'll be in Cookville.
been a blessed year for us. We've picked up a lot of new subscribers. I think the word's getting out of what we're doing. I think there's a lot of people that enjoy it. I hope they do anyway. I know we love bringing it to them.
Yes, sir.
But
shout out to Elaborate Images and
Elaborate Images and Coach T.
Coach Thompson over there. Can't thank him enough.
It's been a good year. Shout out to Joan Molder and
Putting up with us in the kitchen
Yeah.
or in the dining room.
yeah, and your wife Melissa. I appreciate her letting you get away from the house, come over here and do this. And it's been a good year, man. I'm looking forward to Cookville, no doubt.
Me too.
We'll be up there. I'll be recording interviews with all the coaches following their games, and Lee and I will put it together. We may do that show live on a Sunday, maybe, Lee, after the championships. That way we can have a little time to put all the coaches' interviews together. But we'll let you guys know that week exactly when we'll do that show. But we'll have interviews with all the coaches up there in Cookville, and look forward to that every year. But I think that's going to do it for tonight. It's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
All right, Mike Molder and Lee Teat, and this is a Friday main event. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks in Cookville.